Trending video that you see on your screen circulated on social media in the past 48 hours. The video allegedly shows unknown enforcement officers destroying sachet of water, popularly called pure water, here in Nigeria. Remember that in the past few days, there has been scarcity of the sachet water in different parts of Lagos. Now, reacting to this video of some persons bursting sachet water packs, Lagos Commissioner for Environment and Water Resources, Tokunbo Wahab, said that the Lagos State government has not banned also does not have any plan to ban the use or sale of sachet water, popularly known as pure water. He has said that it was officials of NAFDAC, that's the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control. However, NAFDAC, on the other hand, responded by saying that it wasn't their officials or enforcement team. And that's the tweet there. Now, while we await authentic information regarding Lagos State's investigation on the individuals taking laws into their hands, many are asking why pure water has become a cause for worry. Are there environmental hazards that Nigerians should know about? And could this be the major cause of concern between the government and authorities? We'll find out as we have joining us the chairman of the board, Sustainable Green Environment Initiative, Dr. Sachet Olowosile. Good morning. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning, Blessings. It's good to be here.
All right. We'll go into the conversation proper after this break.
Bust everything flat.
We are flooding this place. Because this water will not flow out here. I told you I will close here, then I will no more sales. Why are you doing this? The whole water will flood the whole compound. I've explained to you, this water was not produced today.
But it seems that you have a personal problem with these people.
What about these people? They come. They go talk, they don't go walk. They say they get time.
And that there is a video that has gone viral, and even though there are multiple denials about who were behind that, we're not quite clear as to who these people are and what their motive is. But we're joined by the chairman of the board, Sustainable Green Environment Initiative, Dr. Sachet Olowosile. Sir, when you saw that video, let's get your first thoughts as to what your reactions were and who you maybe thought might have been behind that video.
Thank you, Oli and Sarogia. It's good to be here again today. With that clip that we just watched, you would even hear the woman at the tail end of the video mentioning that the water was not produced that same day. And just with some of my few experiences, because I have a factory very close to me here, which also I attend to. I go in there regularly. And just some few days ago when I went there to get some water for myself, they were closed, they were shut down. And I was made to understand that the reason for the shutdown was because they had a strike action that was induced by the Association of Table Water Producers of Nigeria or thereabouts. So it's an association issue, and they were supposed to be on strike. So for anyone who was not actually obeying the association rule and regulation at that time, I think that what they did was go into some of those factories and they started destroying their produce, which of course they had at the time. And same thing applies to some of the trucks that you see outside there. So those ones that still went ahead to still be selling, even though the strike action has been ordered, you would see some of these association guys coming around to probably destroy what they had that they were going to deliver to some of the customers. As against some of the different opinions that have been flying around, and of course, Lagos State Ministry of Environment and Water Resources coming out through the commissioner, trying to say that it's NAFDAC, and NAFDAC coming around to say, no, it's not us, and a lot of this misinformation that probably might have gone out there. Yes, it's obvious now because Ministry of Environment and Water Resources has disclaimed that it's not there. Their order for some of those atrocities to be committed, same as NAFDAC. NAFDAC came out and said, it's not due to any regulation or action that is coming from outside. And of course, that leads us to the aspect of looking at only the associations being responsible solely for this type of things that actually happen. And it's very, very uncalled for. I mean, definitely there probably would be the different reasons for whatever it is they have done. But one of the singular reasons that actually spiked the strike action is the fact that the association is requesting all of these producers to have a sticker. I will tell you that the sticker that they requested them to have is even less than 1,500 naira if you want to print it. And they are requesting them to paste those stickers on their vehicle, and they want each individual of those vehicles to be charged or to pay 100,000 naira annually for those stickers. And that's what's actually causing the spike in the price, even though right now you would see that some of those pure water sachet trucks are now on the road and they're still disbursing, but you would see that what they're doing now is selling at double the price that they were selling before the strike action actually happened in the first place. I mean, these are some of the things that is very important to be addressed, and this is where the Ministry of Environment and Water Resources need to now take some very serious drastic measures and action to be able to see that all of these are not, we're talking potable water here. I mean, it's saddening that we are where we are today, sincerely. If you ask me, I will tell you it's saddening that we are where we are today. It is the sole responsibility of the government to produce potable water for its citizenry. I mean, this is where we are. We are at the point where we're not even seeing this water being produced by the government. At my area, there's no even infrastructure in place.
Yeah, I want that we expatiate a little bit on that, and that is the ability for the Lagos State government to provide clean water for its residents across the state. The reason that many people found this very uncomfortable was because, I mean, these sachet water bags were what many people used to bathe and many people used to cook, for their daily activities. There's parts of Lagos that you don't expect that the water would be clean. And so how much do you think that the Lagos government needs to take responsibility for its own failure to provide clean water for residents across the state?
Fantastic. Talking about how much they need to take responsibility, I mean, it's 100% the government's responsibility to provide potable water for its citizenry. There are no gainsaying about it. If you now decide from your own comfort that says, I still want to go ahead to get potable water, irrespective of the fact that I have pipe-borne water running into my household or into my compound, that's a different conversation altogether. But we pay tax, and the reason why we pay tax is to get basic societal amenities. And one of the very critical ones is water supply. I mean, how do you expect individuals to live without water? It was a very difficult period for those maybe 2-3 days of not selling for some of those potable waters on the citizens. You would discover that a whole lot of, in fact, to just give a typical example, at this same time, nick of time, it was recorded that 2 dead bodies were lying along Ibeju-Epe Expressway. And some findings mentioned that they probably might have died because of hunger in the land and thirst. I mean, this is just staring right in our faces, and we can see the repercussion of some of these actions. Is it until everybody dies that the government will need to wake up? I mean, when we're talking about the government, we're talking about people who actually we pay as citizens to work for us. So now the narrative and the conversation has actually flipped over the years. Now we have gotten to the point where everybody actually has to do SAR for the government, whereas it's supposed to be the government doing SAR for the citizens. That's where we are today, and it's very disheartening. These are some of the basic amenities that, whether we like it or not, the government is expected to produce and provide for its citizenry.
Unfortunately,
I mean, it's just very disheartening.
Unfortunately, that's not the reality that we have here in Nigeria regarding the access to potable water, especially if you look at even those on, not just on the island, really even on the mainland in Lagos, it's a bit of a struggle. It's why many people will resort naturally to what we refer to as pure water. Now, the environmentalists and the activists would argue that these pure water should be banned because of the impact of plastic on our environment. But others would argue, saying, if you ban it, then what next? What other alternatives do people have? But they will make reference to, the activists will make reference to countries like Rwanda, Namibia, and all these other countries that have clear-cut policies where you either cannot bring in plastic or use plastic, or if you have to, you pay for the plastic. So, talk to us about the implication of plastic on the environment. Is this a conversation that Nigeria should be having? And if yes, how do we find the balance between ensuring that we put legislation or policies to protect the environment, but also not at the detriment of the citizens?
Fantastic question. Excellent, actually, not just fantastic. Right? Talking about the environmental impact, which of course is one of the areas where I stand. I preach green. I talk about sustainability. I talk about the green environment generally. And when we're talking about sachet water here, when we're talking about PETs, plastic bottles, and all of that, it is not gainsaying that this actually poses, this material actually poses significant environmental risk. Millions of discarded sachets primarily causes like pollutions, blockage of drainage system, of course, aquatic ecosystem. Then we will get to the point now that we're beginning to see plastic in placentas of humans. And it's very, how would I use the word? It's scary. So when we're talking about plastic in itself, how much it takes to degrade from the environment, these are real environmental issues. However, when we are talking about environmental issues, it's also very important that we put into perspective the cost-benefit analysis of this conversation that we're having today. Because we are already where we are. It's not that we're going there. We are already here. So now it's about how do we move from here? Not just abruptly stop everything, not just want to abruptly ban it, and people do not have any other means to be able to cater for themselves. And at the end of the day, it's causing people to die off. What we're trying to do in the first place is try to make people to be sustainable in the environment they live in. So when we're talking about the environmental, we're talking about the people, because it's about the protecting the environment for the people. It's not other way around. It's not protecting the environment and neglecting the people. It's supposed to be that the environment is well protected so that it will be able to service the people and make us comfortable, right? So the entirety of the question still revolves around the people. So we need to put the interest of the people at first and not try to narrow it down to the benefits and the cost implication thereafter. So when we're talking about the benefit, for an example, potable water, when we're talking about sachet, most especially, because that's the one that majority of the, how would I use it, the common man uses as a means of potable water supply for themselves. So when you cut off this particular value chain, then you want to kill vast majority of everyone, right? So we can't do that. It's important that we put all of the perspectives that need to put in place. And some of those things revolve around the regulations that the government definitely can do in terms of policy enforcement. But the policy should be enforced with sense. They must enforce it in such a way that it probably it's done in sequential way by which they are providing alternatives and they are trying to make people shift focus from wherever it is that we have at the moment. And they need to actually also enforce from the extended producer responsibility point of view. Right? Making manufacturer accountable for some of the recycling and proper waste management of the offshoots of their products. And now they can create a systemic value chain for some of these things. When we're talking about plastic, we're talking about recycling. There are organizations now that have already stepped up to be able to utilize some of these menace that we call menace right now, that it's already a raw material for them. Why do the government not look in the direction of providing a systemic value chain so that the people will be incentivized for using some of those plastic? When you return it, maybe for an example, initially 1,000 naira will give me maybe 5 bags of pure or sachet water.
I think there's already.
If I come back, okay.
I think Lawma and a few other people are already working, together in that. I think I've heard of something in that regard of some type of recycling that is already going on.
Yeah, there are organizations that do recycling.
But I want to, also ask about the associations now. The allegations that some of these moves that are being made are really just to ramp up the price, create some level of scarcity, ramp up the price as we get into the Ember month proper. Is this possible? And how do we get these sachet bags back to maybe 400 naira a bag or 300 naira?
If I get the question correctly, we're talking about the current action of the association.
Yeah.
And how probably the government
are these things being done as a way to ramp up the price, to create some level of scarcity, and then ramp up the price, as we get into Christmas?
Okay, to directly answer that, I would say I wouldn't know, but the truth of the matter is that the intention of some of these people are primarily not to help the public, because it's obvious, it's not insane, that right now it's not helping us. So whatever decision they have made, whatever action that the associations are putting out there, it's not helping us. It's not helping me as an individual. It's not helping my neighbor. It's not helping anybody. So I do not see any reason whatsoever why that action should even come in the first place. The most important thing is that the water that we're consuming must be properly hygienic, if that's the word, right? And that's the responsibility of NAFDAC, not the association. So if the association is coming to say you must have a particular sticker on your vehicle, and they're charging a whooping 100,000 naira per truck of that, at the end of the day, who bears the cost? Because the producers will not bear that cost. Then we eventually shift it to the final consumer, and that's where we are. And that's also one important conversation that the ministry, the government, let me use the word government now, that's the one conversation that governments need to tackle. They need to actually see into all of this and make sure that, in fact, we're complaining that the price has gotten to 200, it's getting to 250, now we are at 400. Where do we go from here? It's happening, and that's the truth. They need to put all of this association in check, and they are beginning to grow even greater wings than even some of government officials as we see now. And the same thing is happening with road transport workers as well. Let's not even go to that conversation as of today. But then, all of these associations are now getting to the points where they are almost uncontrollable. The government is just working one side, they are working the other side, and everybody is just working to make life more difficult for the people, for the common man. And
thank you for giving us perspective as to what exactly happened from your own personal experience. And this, of course, lays to rest the back and forth as to who did this and why did they do it.
It's embarrassing, that NAFDAC doesn't know who's responsible, the commissioner doesn't know who's responsible. Very embarrassing.
No, I think let's not even go into all of that, but I'm hoping that having had this conversation, we can already admit that there's a problem and there's a challenge there, and that the government can step in to ensure that there is some regulation that occurs to ensure that life is made bearable for Nigerian citizens. Thank you so much for your time with us this morning.